Here, this is for you guys. I love hard tops. I'm gonna say that like 8 times in this video, so. Come here, turtle. What are you doing? Oh, he's angry. It needs new fluid. Oh man. That just happened too. Welp. Alright, we are moving right along on the restoration of this 75 convertible. It's more like putting it back on the road. We're not really restoring it, but one of the things that I knew from the beginning needed to be done was seal up this transmission. If you remember, in one of the first few videos, I had to add like 4 or 5 quarts. Basically everything that's in the transmission in order to get it to move. Since then, it was leaking, but it wasn't leaking a lot, but I knew that over time it was going to start leaking a whole bunch. Just because I don't think anybody's ever been in the transmission. I have the pan off, and I've been letting it, you know, kind of drain over the weekend. Something I do want to show you guys is, at least on this 400, the various spots that you can leak out of a transmission. And I see it all the time on Facebook and on the forums and everything. People are like, I have a transmission leak. They replace the pan gasket and they still have a leak. Well, there's like 8 other spots you can leak from. So we'll start from the front. The first is going to be the main seal that's behind this cover up, pretty much where there's a shaft that comes out of the transmission that hooks up to the torque converter, and there's a seal in there, and that can leak. You have to take the transmission out to get to it, so for this one, we're not going to do it. Next is going to be the actual pan itself. Pretty self-explanatory. The one that everybody seems to miss is right here. So there's a shaft, you can see the end of it right here, that comes out of the transmission. It's called the selector shaft seal. Basically, there's a tiny little O-ring inside of there that can let transmission fluid out. And what it does is it runs down the linkage, hits the lip of the pan, and then travels either direction on the pan and makes it look like you have a transmission pan leak when you really don't. Most of the time, right there is the cause to everybody's issues, in addition to the pan. So with that being said, we can move here to the back. This speedometer cable attaches right here. It has like a bullet or a housing that goes inside that has some O-rings. That can also leak. This one, I don't think it is leaking, but we're going to replace it anyway. Next, here in the back, we have the tail shaft. Basically, you can see that one. Yes, that one is bad and it has been leaking, and we will replace it. So we can leak there. Come around here, right here, that round part, I believe that's called the governor. Don't quote me on that, but that right there has a leak point. You can also leak at the dipstick tube right there. You can leak at the cooler lines that come into the side of the transmission. You can also leak into the vacuum modulator. And yeah, so all of those places on this transmission can potentially leak. And we're going to replace the most common ones, which are the governor, the pan, the selector shaft seal, and then the tail shaft seal. So we're going to get those taken care of, and then hopefully there will be no more leaks and the transmission will keep all of its fluid. I figured I'd show you guys the transmission pan, so I had it drain for a couple days, and this is all the clutch material that we found in the bottom of the pan. Honestly, it's not a lot. I've seen it where it's, you know, that thick over the whole pan. The filter imprint is more than just a shadow. It's like stuck in clutch material. I think this has been a part before. I'm not 100% sure, just because there is what looks like to be RTV around the edges. I don't think GM put them together that way. I'm not sure, but either way, that's a good thing. The car has 70,000 miles. Let's pretend they did a service at 30. It's due for another one, and if he continues with these services, he should have a good transmission for a while. So I'm going to clean it up, get it all nice and shiny again on the inside, and then we can put it back in the car. Here's the pan, all clean. It looks really good. I do recommend using a rubber gasket. Don't use cork, don't use paper. Use a rubber gasket without any RTV to seal it up. Another thing you need to check is you need to check the holes on this pan. If you over tighten this pan, it will wallow out the hole. It'll kind of make it raised up. You can, I don't know if I can get this on camera, but you can see, you know, it has these little ridges that are raised up. And the holes, this one's actually really nice. It's one of the few that I've seen that isn't like that. A lot of times you can get a flat piece of metal underneath and hit it with a hammer and flatten it back down. This one's pretty good. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here, kind of. Maybe, I don't know, probably not. But you need to check that. This one's not bad. I'm happy with the way this one looks. So we'll put that one back in the car. I want to show you guys something. So I already had the bushing replaced in this one. We're going to use this one. Here's the original one off the car. Identical part. Both came off of a Corvette. But so you see this seal? You see how I can move it? Check this one out. I can't move it at all. So that seal wouldn't for sure seal anything. We already knew it was leaking, but it's rock hard. It's no longer rubber. Here's the replacement, new bushing inside. Really, it's the only way to really do this correctly is taking it out and then pressing in the bushing and then putting in the seal. A lot of people just do the seal, but you really want to do both if you're going to do a quality job. So we'll put that back in and keep on going. In the last video on this car, the power steering basically exploded under the hood and made a huge mess while I was driving it home. So all the power steering stuff is new. That's the crazy part. So I decided, let's fill it up again, see what happens. So as I was sitting here watching it, I could see the fluid start coming out of the top of the pump, and then it get caught on the belt for the alternator and just go everywhere. So I'm gonna have to clean all that up, but I think we have a bad pump. That's what happens when, you know, order an eBay special. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I thought it was like a leaky line at first, but there's just so much fluid around the top of this that, you know, there's no way it is. If you go under here, here's the mess under the car, but if you can see, the control valve, the lines, and the slave cylinder, they're all really clean. I wiped them off before I did this. Here underneath where the pump is just all wet, and it's all like above the car, so I don't think it's any of this other stuff. I think it's the pump. So I'm gonna have to order a new pump, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I also had to order a new belt so that I was actually able to get the cap off. Before I couldn't. But I've seen it before where these pumps, when they leak out, they blow out the top like that, it means they're bad. We got a problem! Well, there goes that too. Gotta be kidding me. Ugh. Well, when it rains it pours. I just cranked the steering all the way to one side and blew out that. So now that's exploded. So awesome. Come on. Well, it was one of those days. It turns out all the power steering stuff that had been purchased from eBay, other than maybe the lines, turned out to be bad. So I did what I should have done in the beginning and bought all brand new parts from Lone Star Caliper. And in the next video we'll be putting them on. So I didn't want to end the video on a down note though, so we're going to talk about my license plate wall. So I want to thank everybody who has donated pretty much to my license plate wall. I've got quite a few really cool license plates that I never would have gotten, from anywhere else. All I would have had would have been Texas and Oklahoma. But I've mailed out all the stickers for the guys that have sent me license plates. But we have a lot of cool ones. Let's see. I want to point out some of the cooler ones. Oh, so this one actually came on my 56 Cadillac. So that's something I can never replace. That's a pretty cool Michigan one from 1966. There's a lot of guys that sent me some cool ones, that say Vet on them. Ex-Flyboy is a cool one. Connecticut's a cool one. I have one from the Bahamas. How cool is that? New York, California, stuff like that. There's a cool 64 from Illinois. All that kind of stuff. This one's cool. This one's from Ireland. So as I said last time, basically, if you send me a plate, I'll send you a sticker for free. I thought this would be something cool that I could do, that in the future, if you guys watch my videos, you might see your plate in the background. So my email's down below in the description. Shoot me an email and I can shoot you an address and we'll go from there.